Players ban now.
Radiant's turn to pick.
Game 5, Game 5, hey! Game 5, Game 5, Game 5. That's right, everybody. It's the ESL 1 Summer 2021, powered by Intel. T1 VP Game 5. It's actually happening. People always speak the legends of Game 5s, but how often do they happen? Quite frequently, actually.
Not the last major, the one before that.
Yeah.
We did have the question mark major. Yep, but now this time we haven't had any punctuation in all chat, and we got Game 5.
True. Curtis, what would you like to talk about? We rudely cut you off, and I knew that you were just bursting with information
Bubbling.
about game number 4.
Go for it.
I think,
Floor is yours.
Well, I want to talk about T1 because I think they're really good at identifying their opponent's lineup and what its win condition is. I thought in every team fight, they would always, I mean, it's also how you want to play team fights, but they always make sure Lina died. Lina was never able to get her net worth up in that fight, and as a result, you saw like Abaddon, he was trying to right-click a Nyx in one of the replays, and he just did no damage because Lina is supposed to be the hard carry, but you can't hard carry without the items.
Radiant's turn
Going into
to
Game
pick.
5, we've seen the repeat draft. Was it Game 2 we had this?
I think, Timbersaw.
Yeah, it was the Timbersaw, and then we had the Nyx Lashrak response, and once again the line. I believe that was actually...
Yeah, I think they put Lashrak on offlane and picked Puck mid.
Yeah, that was Game 3, sorry. There's been so many games because we're in Game 5.
Game 5,
Yeah,
Game 5.
They banned out the Puck themselves because I think they were really unhappy with their 2-3 combination that game. They had no one who could run it at all for them, and Lashrak could just sort of had to suicide around the map in order to make any space, but they couldn't teamfight at all. I think in games 1 and 4, the ultimate way that T1 were able to take those games was they out-team fought Virtus Pro. You can't do that if you don't have proper frontline and proper kiting.
Yeah, and specifically in Game 4 for T1, they were able to really lean on the fact that there wasn't a scaling carry coming into play. They did allow the Abaddon to have this early access to the game, but then they just took that decisive fight in their own jungle. And that is, like, we've said it so many times during ESL Summer, like T1, they will give up map control, they emulate PSG in the kind of play style where it's like, they don't play for a strong laning phase, they don't play for a strong, like, 15-minute fight, they'll always play for that kind of decisive 20-25 minute, where they make those comeback moments just because they have the better kind of team
5
timing.
seconds remaining.
And Curtis, you were mentioning in the last game they were able to shut down GPK's farm. Was it mainly the Axe? Who was to credit for being able to recognize that Lina was the issue? Because same thing in game 2, Lina was popping off first pick, but in that game she was able to get all their net worth that she needed.
I think it was a combination of them knowing who to target in the team fights, but also just having a Nyx. Nyx made it a lot easier. We even saw, I think the casters questioned it, whether Abaddon took that Aegis. I think the next team fight happened and Lina died, even though Abaddon lived with the Aegis. This means that Lina doesn't get to scale. Lina's a hero that you need some base items before you can start playing for damage. You need use BKB travels. There's a lot of gold that is only basically plus 34 damage. It's once you get that Daedalus, the Desolator, MKB that you really start popping off with steroids.
But also Cuckoo on his axe, he did absolutely pop off where being able to like hit these 2-3-man calls in these kind of closed off areas. Development of draft though, T1 this time coming into the second phase, they take away the Void because don't forget game 3 Virtus Pro, they had the Timber, the Void, the Death Prophet, and they pretty much walked over T1. So yeah, this is kind of development of the meta of this grand finals, T1 taking away one of these big carries, but also banning out the Death Prophet themselves.
I think taking the Void also enables Nyx in a way. We saw in that game 3 that, was it game 3? Game 3, Nyx would use his spell to use Burrow, and the Faceless Void would just use Time Dilation on him. And he's just a burrowed creep.
That's true actually, yeah. A burrowed creep.
This also gives you a lot more team fight to back up your Lashrak. I think part of their game plan this game will be whoever plays the Lashrak will sort of be ready to edict those towers, and he'll have a lot of stuns and team fight behind him with the Nyx and the Faceless Void.
The question for VP is simply, how do they want to answer the Void? Is it by playing for a quicker early game, but that's not how they've been playing the tournament thus far? Or is it by maybe adding in some saves, adding in some ability to annoy the Void, where his early chronos aren't going to be as clean.
How about a Wraith King, where you kind of solve both things? You can take on early aggression with your skeletons, or you don't need to save if you have a built-in save of the Aegis.
That would be the go-to. I think T1 should be aware of that. Yeah. You now get the Invoker.
Wraith King is a classic for the Faceless Void.
Yeah.
Now, normally I would consider Invoker to be like a denial pick, but that doesn't feel like a very Carl-y hero, even though I love Cataclysm versus Chronosphere.
He does play Invoker.
Okay, he does?
Yeah. I mean, his name is also Carl. So,
This is true.
but he did play his last Invoker game quite well.
That's right.
I think VP, last time they played against the Knicks,
There's the Wraith King. Yep.
last track, they actually had Invoker then as well. They picked
Oh, yeah.
Invoker Wyvern, I can't remember, but a little bit of stun coming out with the Wraith King with the Invoker. I'd like to see a Crosswex Invoker this game, pretty much always for me. But if it connects with the Timbersaw, I can think we can see something similar to the other VP Timbersaw games where he's starting to pressure the carry and kick him out of lane.
Yeah, like T1, they really struggle with just pushing out lanes right now. Like, they have really good team fight on paper, but getting to the point where they can set up the lanes to be able to take that decisive team fight, like, the reason why they are such a strong team is because they pressure these objectives, force their opponent to be there, but they always got some other core out in the side lane, pushing in the lanes, making that team react, and then they have numbers advantage. This isn't really going to happen with this lineup. And that's why I think VP, they're confident with this, like, just a straight Wraith King pick, because they're going to be able to pair the Invoker with the Timbersaw in the lane, Alacrity the Catapult, go take some towers. Wraith King farms behind, then joins in quite quickly. Because once again, it's like T1, they aren't really invading the jungle, but their team fight is immensely strong.
T1 bans out a little bit more team fight. They take out the Disruptor Eastern European Classic and showed up last game. Not to much success though, but they already showed their carry. It's not going to be a Lifestealer or a Juggernaut, so they don't want to have to deal with getting glimpsed into Static Storm. So some other support is going to have to come out, which is rare. Usually these last phases of this entire series has felt like always cores, not supports.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind... do I want to say Oracle? I don't think I do. I'm trying to think of what VP really wants in their 5 position. Like, do they want to go more lane-centric, where they try and find kills against a Nyx Leshrac, but Lesh having a high move speed, Nyx being high armor? Like, I don't think you're going to be killing anything. So I wouldn't mind VP opting for a more defensive backline support, enabling these heroes to try and kind of survive throughout the fights.
The Dire.
Yeah, the Oracle is a possibility.
Pretty much anything that secures the lane for Wraith King to be happy with. I think Oracle might be a tad weak in the lane, but he is very good for the game. He will give you that save for Chronosphere. He'll make it so Invoker can actually cast some spells into fights.
They ban out the Grimstroke, some other Kingslayer heroes. He picked up
good actually.
ET.
They banned it.
Wait, which one?
Grimstroke would have been good.
Oh yeah,
but of course they banned it.
Why would you have liked Grimstroke here?
I think they need a bit more damage, a little bit of oomph.
How about like a Witch Doctor or a Drakira? A little bit more oomph in lane. And then against the Void, it's really annoying to play Void to play into.
Witch Doctor seems pretty good. I think they usually play a lot of.
Oh, they just go for the Oracle.
Okay,
all
Oracle.
right.
Good
Nice.
call on that one.
Now,
Thanks for the high five, Howie.
T1 need to figure out where is Leshrac going. I feel like this is always the answer that we're looking for with T1's final pick. Where is the Cuckoo/Carl hero going? Is Leshrac off lane? Is Leshrac
I
mid?
think they should put Leshrac off lane, get a mid that has a hard catch for Invoker. Puck is banned.
Isn't Storm available?
Storm.
A nice little Storm little situation, always jump the Oracle. Or how about like a off-lane Night Stalker with the mid Leshrac, and then just
Something
fully
like
over
Night Stalker can work for sure. I think it's hard to play Storm this game. I think Invoker's normally decent versus him, and Lion's a good matchup.
DK still in the pool. For some reason, utterly forgotten in this series.
They could do DK. They just need something to frontline.
Yeah.
If they don't have something to frontline, Void will never get a good chrono this game.
This is true. They do need that hero that is like the vision enabler, because Nyx has now kind of shifted away from that style of gameplay where he's playing with another core to get the kill. It's not him running in first with Vendetta. And in the big team fights, they do like that hero with confidence who walks up the higher ground and says, look at me, hit me, and then that gives the Void and Warlock entry to these bigger team fights.
They do have a full minute to talk about their pick. I guess Storm could work just because if they need to pick a hero that they're confident can deal with the Timbersaw, I think. Because right now they might get run over by Timbersaw once
this
again.
is true. This is the big concern. Like, they have so much team fight, this whole mid-game centric lineup, but my fear is like that wave clear in the early point, like the entry to the game. This is what this first phase Timbersaw always put pressure in the draft, and right now they haven't perfectly answered it. They're more about survival, but that's kind of the T1 philosophy in this entire grand final. Survival, then dominance.
Definitely seems like they know what they want to pick. They're just psyching everyone up. Cuckoo definitely gave a everyone relax, I got this type
He's putting
hand.
the shoes on.
He's putting the shoes on.
He's ready.
He's putting those brown boots on.
Oh, now he's not ready. Nope,
You
now
guys
he's ready.
good? You guys good with this? What is it gonna be?
This is it.
Stop panicking, Cuckoo.
Oh, no.
What? No. You need a pick. Come back.
Okay.
Okay.
I've just made a loud noise just for fun, but let's think about it. Okay, so Broodmother's a hero that you really need to answer in two forms. How do you kill it in laning phase, and how do you defend the tower? Right now, VP has no answer, I think, to killing the Brood cleanly in laning phase. They have the answer with defending tower with the Timbersaw, but yeah, just the entry to the game, Brood will have a pretty decent time.
And what's the lane situation? It's Brood plus
Nyx.
Warlock?
No,
Oh,
Brood,
plus
Brood
Nyx.
Nyx, and then it'll be Warlock Void in the top lane.
And it'll be up against Oracle Wraith King.
We might see VP go for aggro tri-lane just to get the Timbersaw matchup versus.
No, that's true, yeah.
But honestly, they don't really have to do that. Brood's not the same hero where you would like get overrun with spiders really early.
Yep.
I think as long as they are able to secure Nightfall an okay game, they will eventually be able to rotate DM down there and deal with the Brood. It is overall a good Brood game though, I think. It's a very cheesy pick. And I mean, Cuckoo, he wasn't known for his Brood in the DPC. People thought he can play it, but then he busted it out at the major.
The key thing here is VP have won their games with Timbersaw being able to take the tower, and everyone moves into that kind of Timbersaw. If you have a Brood, that forces Timbersaw to think defensively now. He is the only hero that can then occupy the Brood. So unless they want to kind of evenly lose like safe lanes with Brood coming in here, Timber coming in there, Timber will kind of lose that aggressive pressure, and that's maybe why they picked this hero to give Void time to farm up. But you know, we'll see. It's an exciting. It's game 5.
Yeah, both teams seem to have pretty similar scaling across the board. The offlaner is going to draw a bunch of focus. Timber on one side, Brood on the other. Your mid laners, you got the Invoker and the Leshrac. Pretty similar power spikes, and then Wraith King and Faceless Void. Another direction.
Yes, we really need a whiteboard, honestly. Like, I think right now, if we could have drawn some arrows and stuff about the shifting of map movement and stuff, that would be amazing. But luckily, we don't need to do that.
Those have been outlawed in Dota 2, unfortunately. We won't be drawing on them again. But I've brought you the premier casting duo you could possibly ask for. That's right, it's Sunsfan and Jenkins for game number 5.
All right. Oh man, I was really hoping you'd say Cinder in there, because that would have made a lot more sense to Tsunami. But yes, you're Sunsfan and Jenkins for game 5 of this grand finals between T1 and VP. Both teams have looked absolutely fabulous at times. VP picked Admiral Carry last game. Did not work out in very big fashion, I guess you could put it, Jenkins.
Yeah. Now we have the last pick, Broodmother.
Yes.
By no means a free Broodmother game. Timbersaw, good game counter. You can kill all the spiders, lane against the Brood quite easily.
Yep.
And I do like Wraith King plus a nuker against Brood in lane. So melee owner, Brood melee hero.
Oh, Cuckoo. Great Fire Blast to the Fortune's End. Not able to connect with the Timber Chain on the other side. That's going to be first blood going to GPK. The Broodmother already falling, Jenkins. I mean, this is one of those, it's not, we've seen so many games of Broodmother, and I still can't decide what I think of him, but in the past, as a last pick, it's like you win the game fast or you lose the game fast. How's the dynamic now in this patch?
I don't think it's that way anymore in the current patch, because you're going to be building into utility items anyway, so it's more so you fall off and become a typical utility offlaner rather than just falling off and losing the game.
Right.
So just because of the new build, I think that's not a problem anymore.
See a lot of pipes as first item on Brood. Magnum Scepter later. I mean, a lot of choices after the fact. Maybe EMP come out. Splitter is going to hit onto Nightfall. Fortune's End, though. Going to keep Nyx Assassin in place. It looks like another kill going the way of VP, so 2-0 start for them as they're picking more traditional heroes. No position 1 Abby. They're not doing anything crazy this time around. I mean, there is an Oracle. We don't see that every day, but
Pretty standard hero.
yeah, not that crazy.
As this was happening, Cuckoo was trying to make sure that he gets the lane matchup that he wants. He was paying close attention to where DM was on Timbersaw. He was running between the lanes. He really wants to be against this Oracle plus Wraith King, but this lane is quite difficult for Brood. It's 2 nukes, they can zone you, and then once you get the spiders, Timbersaw's going to be level 6, and you can rotate to that lane with the Timber. Not as free as a lot of other last pick Broods in prior patches.
Right through Savage is going to take a damage here, but time walks it off. Hey, it's not like the old Brood where you get the Spiderlings right away. You have to wait till level 6, and the question is, can he survive that long? as, like you talked about, tons of nukes coming out already. I mean, is this a game where Nightfall maxes? I mean, we saw the game. I keep forgetting who was playing it, but they maxed out Wraith Fire Blast. Is that something you look to do here, or are you still focused on your farming?
That was the build throughout the major, maxing Wraith Fire Blast, because the crit doesn't really help you jungle faster, and it's mostly the skeletons, and you're not getting that many skeleton charges without already using skeleton charges. So it's this weird thing where 4 is kind of enough, and using the 4 points of nuke, or at the very least like 2 or 3 points of nuke, is often enough to get you a lot of kills, and you can show up to things that otherwise you wouldn't be able to.
She did. Carl Leshrak mid. So we've seen this hero basically between the off lane and the mid lane for the most part versus the Invoker. I assume it will be the typical Invoker going Quas Wex into the old Spirit Vessel, into Midas, and then eventually going for Cataclysm and all that good stuff.
We have plenty of chain lockdown for Cataclysm, so eventually that will make sense. Whatever he builds into, eventually an Ags will come out.
Carl,
be careful.
Very okay. GPK gets basically handed to him there. Goodness, that was interesting.
And a lot of that comes from the fact that Carl is the type of Lesh mid player that he holds his points to see if he needs to use Lightning Storm, and usually he'll opt to go for more points in Edict just to do a crap load of damage the moment he hits level 6. And that gives him the ability to take towers, but in that situation you can see it resulted in him getting hit a lot more than a traditional Leshrac with Lightning.
See the EMP come out, GPK, like, let's connect. So Carl at half mana already, even though he just got back into the lane. Cuckoo, on the other hand, 6-1 in terms of CS. I mean, what are you even happy with in this stage? Like, at what point, like, does it really come down to that level 6, or is it more getting the webs up to a high degree so that you can actually regen enough to withstand this burst damage?
6 is important because even though DM's likely going to rotate to his lane on Timbersaw, still, it's not a good hero for chasing around the spiders. Timbersaw's good at sitting in lane and making sure that the tower's never going to go down, but you're not really quick enough to deal with the brood spiders in the jungle, and so Kuka's going to be able to farm as soon as he gets level 6, and that's going to push these heroes to potentially kill him out of the lane, and that's the problem right now. He has to be so scared of this double disable combo between the Wraith King and the Oracle.
Whitemon harassing a bit with that Fatal Bonds. Another combo here from VP. Not going to be enough for a kill, but Cuckoo will at least get some XP here, and a couple of last hits as well. Zephyr actually pulled an entire wave, so he went the just cut the wave and brought it around through the river, I assume. Helped get his brood a little bit more XP and gold, since he is kind of struggling right now. See if he can get some last hits onto the tower, though. Still going to be pressured, though, in the meantime by Kingslayer. See the Impale connect, Nightfall, but just a little harassment back and forth. Nightfall, of course, will be able to go to the jungle at some point if he really wants. I mean, is it more dependent on how your lane is going if you even bother going to the jungle? If you're getting free farm in the lane, you just give it up to an ally still, or do you just stay?
The only person that can take the Brood's lane is Timber, past, a reasonable point, and so I think if you can stay here with Wraith King, keep things simple, you do stay there, because that's probably going to be your highest skill threat, maybe even with a rotation from the mid lane Invoker, and then after that point, it's got to be Timber. But we can see Zephyr went for a really cool build here. He went for a second point in mana burn to prevent the double nukes coming out. Okay. It's just to make Cuckoo's life a little bit easier. Wraith King obviously can't press his stun if he has no mana for it, and there's no point in going for the Carapace because Zephyr's not playing the lane, so he's just going to mana burn, help out a little bit, and then leave and give Cuckoo the solo XP.
Yeah, it's cool to see these new skill builds being based off of how the game is actually going instead of just pigeonholing yourself into the same build over and over with. 99% of pubbers, including myself, will do. Maybe make a video on that with some extra arrows. Somebody watching. Courier taking out Whitemon's Courier, that is, by save. He's gonna take some damage on top, but nice some blocks coming out as DM making his way in the vicinity, looking for the Timber Chain opportunity. There we go, and this looks like a kill going the way of VP again. So 4-0 advantage, already 2K, and 23 Savage trying to help out his comrade, but ain't happening.
Beautiful body blocks by Save, ensuring that when that creep wave is being tanked, there's some sort of punish for it, and makes enough space that DM can come over and get a free kill. He's almost level 6, and this is when any lane that Timber goes to, he's going to have to against left.
Zephyr with a very uncharacteristic miss on the Impale. Ends up paying the price with the Cold Snap EMP combo.
There's a bit of the punish for not having Spike Carapace, not
That's
as slippery as a typical Nyx would be at this point. Also, sacking those levels to Cuckoo's Broodmother means that Zephyr doesn't have the levels he used to playing with.
See some action top lane. Chakram is there. The setup from Save. Not enough to kill Whitemon yet. Trying to get off the fatal bonds here as DM is pursuing him from behind. You see the Hex. Timber Chain will be another kill on the Whitemon. And DM is pretty freaking farm right. In fact, on VP, our top net worth at this current point.
We were all thinking with the last pick, what do you do to deal with this hero? But
what do you do against Timbersaw? Oh, this might be it though. Yep, we see the Lesh coming with that Chronosphere set up into the Split Earth. Enough magic damage, and that is a huge kill for T1. They desperately needed it.
DM was playing really far out there because he had the catapult, so he wanted to take this advantage he had in lane and turn it into the tower, but Lesh, great hero dealing with the Timbersaw. Once again, Batrider and Lesh are the two best heroes for leaning against
Yep. Zephyr might be caught out again. Cold Snap. We have the Impale, EMP. It's not quite enough though. He's still only level 2, so like you said, no Spike Carapace. Try to combo break that, if you will. GPK is going to be perfectly healthy here. Top net worth in the game right now. I mean, what do you think of the matchup of... I mean, I saw Void picked in the... I think it was the 3rd pick overall. And I was like, okay, this is just going to be a Wraith King game, right? And it is.
Dyer's middle tower
is Wraith King that good against Void? Is just the survivability, or is there something that I'm missing here?
I think Wraith King is a sort of pushing hero with the skeletons as well. So similar to why Drow Ranger counters the Void. If you don't lose the ult, and also in the late game, the ult on such a low stun. Oh, okay, Kuka Mixer.
GK, yeah, see the Spiral doing so much damage. Face Edict, not enough, and now the Impale from Zephyr into the Split Earth. So a nice turnaround here for T1 as you see Cuckoo making the transition, and this is where the hero starts a bit of trouble.
This is really nice from Cuckoo. So he's doing this thing where the webs are not really in an ideal state for farming, but they are in an ideal state for pressuring, because EM now has to rotate between mid and bot to chase the Brood. But Brood is so fast. Timber can't chase Broodmother.
That tower got decimated. Save in the meantime does get the Earth Spike. DM in the vicinity as well with the Chakram, but Zephyr on the sideline gets the Impale only on to save though. Looks like it might actually be enough to get everybody out with their lives. Nato and missing here, but Kingslayer might be dying again. Just getting chased by Cuckoo. It's really difficult to get away from this hero as a support for sure. But the fact that they took that tier 1 tower in like, feels like less than 10 seconds. Pretty crazy.
What a smart rotation from Cuckoo. It's a very atypical thing for Broodmother to do that, to rotate to another lane. But that is the only advantage that Broodmother has over Timbersaw.
Yeah.
Is to just run between the lanes quickly, and Timber spends all of this time chasing, and Timber being a hero doing stuff.
Whitemon getting chased by Nightfall, and one more crit will do it. See if they can turn this into a tier 1 tower as well. So this game started going in favor of VP. I mean, they probably are still favored to a degree, but now that Brood is online with 23 Savage in the vicinity as well, so it could be a trade at the very least for these tier 1 towers.
I love that T1 is playing. I like that they're playing around Brood, because we saw this exact same thing in the major. I believe it was BG, maybe it was, anyway, there's a team that was picking Ursa with the Broodmother, and they would put Ursa behind Brood, so anytime the Brood counter would run at the Brood, Ursa would be there to counter that counter, because that's typically the way that works. All of the heroes not good against Ursa, and T1's kind of doing the same thing, except with multiple heroes. They're putting the Broodmother with the Leshrac, or the Broodmother with the Faceless Void, so that way you can't just run Timber at this hero and push it out of a lane anymore. You have to go in there with like 4 heroes to get Brood to go away.
It's funny that the way that you play against Brood has kind of shifted a bit as well. For so many years, it was just the same hero, the same play style. We're seeing just more flexibility, a little bit more dynamic, and maybe a little too strong right now. But I mean, how often has it been banned in this tournament, off your memory?
It was getting second phase banned, so it's fallen out of favor in the first phase. Presumably because a hero like Vibrant is very well against with spiders in a support position, and it just feels much better than what power level Broodmother is at. And so because these heroes have come into the meta, Broodmother falls down, but the question is, you know, is that warranted? Should Broodmother have been still getting first?
Well, it's funny because, I mean, not that Wyvern wasn't underpicked by any means at the major, but it wasn't as strong as it has been in this tournament, it feels like, right? Maybe towards the tail end, but you just discover new things with each patch, and I mean, this patch isn't even that old for all intents and purposes, but yeah, people still looking forward to whatever is in store in the next few days. So, see DM now at the hood, and Kingslayer still not level 6, 12 minutes in the game. That full promise, obviously, probably the best save in the game if you can get it off, especially with a Wraith King that can get some regen with the lifesteal and Timbersaw as well.
Yeah.
And speaking of Timbersaw, you're going up against a Faceless Player with time dilation, which maybe hasn't been that big of a deal yet, but he is going for the Lotus Orb to be able to dispel that. One of the more annoying spells to deal with as a Timber.
Pretty good against Fatal Bonds as well, and possible Broodmother Orchid, although who is going for Mechanism. And I think this is a good build, just given how they're playing around him. If you go for the Orchid, it's more so a kind of solo pickoff stuff build, and you already have enough pickoff between the Leshrac, the Nyx, and the Faceless Void. You don't need more, even though Silence and the Oracle would be pretty more so about supporting your team, and they do the work for you. See countered on Brooder by the Timber.
See a smoke here from VP. Yeah, we typically see the pipe as a first item, like I was talking about. Solar Crest as well, but just switching it up just slightly. We've seen some Greaves, of course, in the past. In addition, as Cuckoo, with all his spiders, will be potentially ganked here. Gonna micro them to a high degree. GPK in the vicinity. Tornado misses, though. Just a couple of creeps, and that's about it. But a big stun from Zephyr onto 2. Now VP are on the run. Kingslayer just drops of his own accord. Cuckoo, not mincing words here. Like the pressure's going to be applied again, but the ice wall is connected here. Slow progress is a Chronosphere on all 3 on the outer edges, but what is the follow-up? Buyback onto the Oracle now. Bash is online, so Save takes a tumble. But in the meantime, taking damage from the Chakra. We see the Sunstrike coming, but it's not going to connect on anybody as Nightfall has come to play as well. Tornado will hit the Leshrac. Trying to save him with Cuckoo here on the sideline. DM, you see, taking some right-click damage, but as we see the Radiance now online at the 13.5 minute mark. The Nightfall still with that second life, but wow. Lion did die. That counts as somebody.
Well, I don't know. It's a
just because he's hideous doesn't mean he's not a person. Okay. But yeah, now with this, I mean, obviously you want the level 12 on Wraith King. That's probably the biggest thing. Oh yeah, there was a buyback there on Oracle. Yeah, he was the first to fall actually. But yeah, that was an incredibly good chrono. As like the Impale is gonna just miss here. Chase is on. Trying to get control of this jungle. Chaotic Offering being faked out on GPK. Doesn't have a ton of mana to work with, and Nightfall still only with that level 1 ult, but running in. Gets that Red Fire back to sleep. Dispelled there by the Vendetta, or dodge, I should say. But Broodmother, on the other hand, is going to get bursted down between the Chakram and the Finger of Death. So VP getting full control of their jungle again.
Just a little out of position there. You know, expecting that playing near that high ground is going to be enough to keep Cuckoo alive, but there's so much disable coming from the side of VP. And with Nightfall picking up his Radiance, they're super comfortable taking almost any fight, even into a high ground. They just want to punch people, right? Chrono being down.
Yeah, it looks like Nightfall is going for the SNY. So extra status resist, which doesn't do anything against Chrono, obviously, but that's why you pick Wraith King. Counteract Chrono.
SNY. Almost certainly a candidate.
It's been nerfed. What do you mean?
Not enough.
I don't know. I feel like it hasn't always been SNY. It's just Sage into anything.
Well, that nerfs it. I mean, it's half.
Although I will say, Halberd has not been picked up very often.
Oh, that's a bad item.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Expensive. It doesn't get more status resistance when you level it up. Every other Song item does.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. No need to get angry, Jenkins.
I'm so.
Passion for the game is already been noted, and your passion for killing birds as well.
Don't get me started about that.
I won't. Don't worry. I never want to hear that again.
They don't even exist.
Okay. Sure. All right, we have the plate mail on Timbersaw here. It's just a perseverance away from finishing the Lotus. And yeah, looks Raid King is top net worth though, so 1K advantage for him, but the next 3 cores, or the next 3 on the net worth list, I should say, are on T1 side. So I think this first Roche should have a pretty big impact on the game. And I mean, who would you favor for Roche fight?
Probably T1. It's mostly just the Warlock and the Void that make that. I mean, if you eventually get the Leshrac egg, then that's a fairly big deal for
Well,
Roche.
I guess VP kills Roche faster, but T1 can defend it better.
True,
Fighting
yes,
it better.
for sure.
See the Split Earth Ag Shard, which I'm sure we'll see at some point. Started as a meme and then got buffed, and now it's incredible.
Dire's top tower
pretty good with
is
Chrono.
under attack.
You're guaranteed. You know, you could stun Chrono into multiple stuns, and I'm sure one of those will be
Dire's
behind
top
it.
tower is about to take the
Yeah, and they
blood.
do have, I mean, if they get a big Chrono into Fatal Bonds with Chaotic Offering, if it's layered towards the tail end of it,
Dire's
with that
top
splitter
tower
that you talked about, that is, I guess, their version of Wombo Kama, not too bad. Is Impale going to connect? T1 trying to surround DM here, but he is super tanky. It looks like Zephyr's going to be the one that gets bursted down instead. Sunstrike coming up with the counter initiation with that Chaotic Offering. The disengage. Whitemon's little golem will take a tumble, so it's only 1 kill. We see these little like mini fights, and only like 1 person dies, 2 people at most.
T1's very confident that they have this backup of Warlock ulti and the Chronosphere. Well, this is why they're playing so aggressive, because they know that even if somebody dies, the fight can be turned with one of these 2 abilities. VP, they're playing very safe. They're kind of only frontlining with Nightfall for the most part in these fights, sitting in the trees with supports. As well as the Timbersaw, of course. Not an easy hero to go on.
Radiant are scanning for
Nightfall.
enemy.
Okay, I think it's not going to be an SNY unless he has something to do now. It's just casual Sange, and he did this last game. He's going to go for BKB almost certainly. He only has an Ogre Axe queued up. If we get an interview, we need to ask what this is all about, honestly. I'm baffled. I love it at the same time, but I'm baffled.
What other Ogre Axe item is it?
Echo Saber.
I don't think that's going to happen. Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, this helps quite a bit. Okay, Aghanim
He's
Scepter,
definitely not
for
getting
sure.
Dragon Lance, I can tell you that much.
No problem not.
And that is a good stat item.
I will say, Ags is very underrated on this hero. I don't know why it's not picked up more often. It's more like a 4th item.
Maybe not yet.
Yeah, I agree. But we don't really see this 4th item, which is really weird. I feel like it's super, super strong.
Because you're the carry, you're going to get it off a Roach. That's your Ags if you're...
We haven't even gotten 1 Roach yet, so it's going to be a long game.
Yeah,
We're playing for the 60-minute mark.
Yeah,
Sure.
This is the issue with Brood. Okay.
Yep, Zephyr with that Spike Carapace setup thanks to that Radiance. 23 Savage jumps in as well. Remember, this is a Raid King that you're dealing with. Carl has some damage. Split not going to hit, though. And that's still a pretty difficult kill, but T1 actually moves everybody in the vicinity to try to go for that, so that opens up the map a little bit for VP.
Cuckoo TP'd as well.
Yeah.
And he walked there with webs. It's still odd that he moves towards the top lane. Oh, he did TP on Broodmother.
Very active Brood.
I kind of like this because the problem with off-lane Brood on the Dire side is that you play in the enemy jungle and then you're nowhere near Roshan. The advantage of Radiant Brood is that you get Rosh by virtue of playing where you already want to play on Radiant. And so I would like to see him moving his webs more towards the enemy triangle if he can. Of course, it's not the easiest thing to
won't
in
last
the enemy
long.
triangle, so just a bit of a TP.
Yeah, so he got that mech and then straight into pipe, so hasn't finished the Greaves yet, but I assume that will come at some point in the game. It is a pretty expensive recipe, but I mean, do you have any good dispels this would make you want? I guess Cold Snap? Is that it?
Dire's middle
Is
tower
Whirling
is
Death? I
under
mean, not that that really
pressure.
matters that much, but is that buff dispellable?
Yes.
Okay, excellent, thank you. So yeah, maybe not the highest value Greaves, although the regen that you get when you're low is pretty
Right.
freaking valued.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. If the aura is really nice against this damage per time, but that's a waste of a drop. That
And Max?
we don't litter here in
Dire
Sweden.
are scanning for enemies.
It's pretty clean here, that's true. It's not Singapore though.
Big on recycle. That way I threw a can in garbage.
Yeah, they were very angry
They
that it
were
wasn't
not happy
recycled. Oh, we have
about that.
Cataclysm online now for VP. Smoke from T1, they immediately will run right into VP themselves. And again, it's just Nightfall being that front liner. I'm not sure if VP wants to necessarily fight without this BKB. Nightfall, but I mean, it is a very even game, so it all depends on, again, from a team fight perspective, T1 does have good, in theory, chrono into whatever else that we talked about. It does take some execution. We have some TPs down here. Cataclysm a little bit early. Not really going to hit anybody, but Chaotic Offering is only going to hit one because of the Yule Scepter on the save. Now the Chakram comes out. In the midst of things. Oh, big whirling death into the Timber Chain. Blows up 2 instantly on T1 side. And now they are on the run. TM opening up a can of whoop-ass on this Timber Saw. And that'll continue onto Whitemon. Great Fire Blast applies and crits him down to the ground. Holy Jesus, DM. That felt good for me just watching it.
It's funny that in this game, the exact thing that T1 usually wins team fights with is their patience in using their abilities and their ability to kite. In that fight, it was the bane of their existence because they were so patient. And 23 Savage didn't want to just go for this 2-man chrono. He's like, okay, they've used Cataclysm, so I can do something better than this. No, Kata, this is an easy fight.
Oh, well, just wait for it. Wait for it. Oh, God.
That's stun, man. What a stun.
So disgusting. That was nice. Yeah, beautiful setup from VP, very patient. And yeah, the Cataclysm ended up just being a bait, I guess, because it didn't hit anything. But yeah, VP come out on top big time. But they don't turn it into a Roche or anything like that. Didn't have enough time. We do see a 3-man smoke already from VP.
Oh, there goes all the spiders. That's very sad.
And DM
is under attack.
The whole that thought is the Warlock looks to be dead here. They have Chaotic Offering, obviously, so doesn't provide much for his team without that shard, Jenkins.
Oh, he's getting
Yep, there's the cancel. Sunstrike to follow. Down goes the Spider. VP starting to take a little bit of the lead now. 4K net worth lead. And they should be going for this tier 1 tower at the very least. And Shard is actually going to be picked up by Nightfall pretty early. How many Spiders have been killed by VP this match? You guess.
Do we answer this?
Yeah. It's fun to try.
Let's see. So he just killed about 50. I'm going to say like 200. What?
Okay.
Wait a minute.
I'm going to say...
There's no way.
I'm going to say 85. I'm going to say 80.
I get a mulligan.
No, that's no mulligan. That's not allowed. Carl has his pulse nova going onto GPK, but it's Ice Wall to create some space. And DM in the river. The Chalk design doesn't really have much mana to work with, so we'll have to just back. All right, how many? 99? All right, I win.
Okay, I wasn't that far off.
You said 200 something.
That's only double.
You're an idiot.
774 gold from spiders?
Dyer's bottom tower is about
That's a lot.
He's getting swole.
I mean, if you have a lot of pennies, eventually you make a fortune. Because that's why you were hired at this event.
We don't even have pennies in Canada, so I take offense to that. They're banned. Google it, that's true.
Okay, I won't, but thank you. So what's the, is the mana burn really that big of an issue for Wraith King? I mean, historically speaking, like against Wraith King, it's not that amazing, but is it enough to have to worry about and just go for the shard? He actually delays it here, gets the Hyperstone.
I was gonna say, he's got the BKB, he's sitting on a nice 13 stack wand charge, not really feeling too bad in any of these fights. Nyx is not having the best game. You can delay it a little bit.
Okay. But we do have the Aghanim Scepter Burrow, just like every other game on Nyx Assassin. First item, brown boots.
Okay, now you need the shard.
Yeah, we have a 9-man smoke overall. Nightfall the only one. Of course, he has that second life to work with. Zephyr burrowed up. No vision showing him right now, but double impale. All right, into the Chaotic Offering. Using most of their resources on the save. He's already only at half HP, and here comes the Cataclysm. Leshrac gets the Yules off to save himself. The Chronosphere is going to clip 2, and it's the 2 supports. Very important to kill that Oracle, but both will buy back into the game. Now Carl trying to get out of this, but looks like he's going to fall here, but a nice split Earth comes out. Ends up saving him in the end, and VP has to run, despite Zephyr being completely out of mana. Too big. I mean, again, it's on the supports, but the Oracle is by far the most important person to kill, I think, in these fights.
You don't normally see a Nyx Assassin initiating a fight with a long-range 2-man stun like that, but what a setup forcing these buybacks. And then he had another, like, 3-man stun as well as the fight progressed.
Boom.
Yeah, look at that.
Chaotic Offering.
Not much to follow up is the problem.
Yeah. The Yules ended up saving the Lesh there for sure, and you can see the Chrono clipping both supports, so that ends up being a freebie for 23 Savage. Double kill for him there.
Zephyr hits another double stun.
Yeah, Carl as well. Yeah, nicely played.
A lot of these fights, not much is happening for this high skillness that we're seeing. You know, like there's these crazy double stuns and combos happening, and then it's like, oh, they have no damage. That is too bad. Just the support's dying. It's always the support.
Yep. Easy worse. Get a lot of gold these days. We're actually seeing support get more than just the brown boot wand, so just be happy.
Those were the days.
Yeah.
Brown boot stick.
Yeah.
10 centuries. He's living the
Oh,
life
boy.
on
All right.
Kingslayer.
This, we talked about VP being able to take Roche a little bit faster than T1, especially with the alacrity applied to Mr. Wraith King, but with the Nyx Assassin in tow, no Chronosphere though, and no Chaotic Offering. I think this is the biggest reason that VP is feeling very comfortable in going in here. Chakram is going to be helping out as well, but the Spider's going to be used to scout this out a bit. Roche basically at half HP now. Nightfall can just continue to solo this if he really wants.
Top tower is under attack.
There is some capability from T1 side to jump in and try to steal this. As Zephyr's going to be spotted out. There's the dodge. Chakram to follow. So much damage reduction. Finger, that's still not enough. He's healing so much right now. Wild Burrow, 23 Savage, trying to focus on GPK, but he's going to get out, it looks like. Zephyr is still alive. Chakram, Spike Carapace. Eventually, nope. Okay, DM running out of mana now. They're doing a great job of protecting Zephyr between the heals that he gets inherently with that Burrow and the Shadow Word.
I don't think I've ever seen somebody be doing literally nothing and still be the MVP of the fight. He's doing nothing.
He's inside his little home there.
He's just there.
That's
Look
about...
at him.
He's literally 10 polygons right there.
He's literally an anthill.
All right, if we're going to get more Nyx Assassin Ags upcoming for TI, let's get a little bit more polygons added to this thing, all right? That thing looks like
We could use a couple more. It looks like a pile of dung.
Yeah, it's quite bad. 23 Savage now going for Roche, though. See the Spirit's coming out. Try to get some vision here. Yeah, they just don't do it fast enough, but this is looking a lot like game, was it 1? Where we had a little bit of a stall here as we see the side cam onto Zephyr. Very important. Impale is going to connect. All right, the Mana Burn doing quite a bit. Nice fall. We get purged off. He's ready to go back in again. Keep an eye on those polygons on the bottom of your screen as Roshan's getting quite low. Cuckoo can go in and out of the pit, no problem. It's another aspect that we didn't really talk about. Splitter's going to connect again. This time they're going to go on stage. BKB popped by 23 Savage. That is going to be enough to take out the support, and they know he does not have buyback. And now the pressure being applied to the Wraith King. He's going to go down, but that is the first life. I believe he does have Shard. Chronosphere just to ensure that they get this Roshan. Looks like Savage gets the stack, so the actual Roshan ended up going to VP, but the Chaotic Offering now used in retreat here as VP attempting to get out. Deafening blast applied there, but Nightfall completely surrounded and will finally be brought down. Didn't even have his Radiance on, by the way. Just trying to punch that Spike Carapace, but interesting choice there. Either way, T1, very nice play overall.
Yeah, great chrono from 23 Savage.
Great job in the Burrow, by the way.
Yeah. Pile of Sand was doing a great job there, sitting in the middle of the fight, pressing his stuns off cooldown. You know, he gets to relax and have a vacation right now for... Oh, what a beautiful replay. So good.
Yeah. Oh, he hit a button there. Okay.
I think he did hit a button.
That was Spike Carapace.
I believe that was one of his buttons. God, what beautiful play.
The Ags is crazy, though. You get the damage reduction, you get all this guard. Every single skill is upgraded while you're inside.
It's worth noting that a big reason he's so tanky is, number one, he's a pile of dung. And then number two, Cuckoo has all of these defensive items. He's got these auras. He's got Greaves aura. He's got Pipe aura. He's probably Solar Cresting the boy. It's not Greaves, okay, but still the mechanism to work with. Lots of effective HP there. The Warlock heal, of course.
Yeah, Warlock heal with the Holy Locket, like you said. And, I mean, you get 1.5, I think it was 1.5 HP percentage regeneration and mana while burrowed. So, on top of 50% damage reduction, again, I've always felt that this Ags is crazy. I don't think that last patch that upgraded from 10% from 40 to 50, I know it's pretty big. It's always been this good, though, for the most part, you know? Undervalued at the very least.
I'm with you, and I think when you look at the talents, whenever you talents like this, like stun duration, cooldown reduction, it's always going to be better. And of course, Eon Disc is really strong, so that works really well with the damage reduction. Octarine Core is quite a strong item. That works really well with the Nyx Assassin. in the burrow. So a lot of things going in the favor of Nyx in this patch. Sentry wards being so small, making Nyx's early game a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, despite that, though, I mean, the game is still technically in VP's favor if you're looking at just the net worth. Obviously, the Aegis is online for the Void. As we can see, Wraith King now, Nightfall. Yeah, the net worth has kind of bounced back and forth here after a pretty good lead for VP.
Bottom tower won't last long.
What is he going for?
Dire
Nightfall.
structures
Demon
are
Edge.
fortified.
Queued up with
Radiant
the
structures are
Hyperstone
fortified.
on the Wraith King.
Dire's bottom tower is about to flounder.
The Radiant,
They're trying to bring
BKB,
down
Sage,
Radiant's top
Hyperstone.
tower.
Okay, switch to Scotty now.
Is he gonna
A casual
still
Hyperstone?
use that as a Hyperstone? It's a madman.
Alright, we'll see.
Big damage, I suppose.
Yeah, big boy indeed, VP.
Juicy boy.
Basically even game though. This is very tense. Again, game 5 of the grand finals between these, I would consider them 2 of the top 4 or 5 teams in the entire world right now. And the fact that we get to see an SEA team play CIS, that's not something, again, Animator has been like the only thing along with the Singapore major this entire year, COVID and all that. Very awesome to see these guys clash here.
Yeah, I agree. I think at the end of the Singapore major, people were looking at SEA and CIS as actually the weaker regions. And these guys are just absolutely proving that wrong. I think the SEA qualifier is probably the hardest qualifier.
Yeah, I think they're only getting 2 teams as well, right? If I'm not mistaken.
One
Team.
One team.
It's going to be T1 plus 1 team.
oh
Right.
yeah.
Which is
I'm not sure.
Dire's top tower is about to take the
either
blow.
way. My analyst, by the way, you're supposed to be able to answer that. Just saying.
You know all I watch was NADPC. I was with you.
Dire's top
Yeah, but I'm telling you what I know.
under
Okay?
attack.
Just agree with me.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Okay. Thank
You're
you.
totally right.
Yeah, 23 Savage has his chrono available.
Dire's
See, oh, Zephyr gets off the spike carapace. Again, this is Wraith King we're talking about. They're going to take him out really fast. Pops his BKB. So, yeah, and there's the false promise. Okay, have we seen false promise? I have not seen it personally. Has he cast this? Honestly?
I'm sure.
Drowned in a pool of
I'm
blood.
sure he's casted that.
Middle tower.
Maybe it's just something I missed in the chaos, but I mean, there has been a couple fights where he dies right away because they focus him, which is what T1 is supposed to do.
The only great
Radiant's
promise target is
under attack.
Boker. Wraith King's very survivable. Timber very survivable, and usually he's just out of mana, so it's useless anyway if you save him. Maybe that's why we haven't seen it.
Dire's bottom tower
Right,
is
fortifications
under
pop
attack.
from VP as one attempting to go high ground. Of course, with that Nyx Assassin burrowed and the Diabolic Edict from Carl makes this a lot easier. Heals applied to 23 Savage as well. And I don't think he has a shard on the Warlock. No, it doesn't look like it. As Zephyr gets off the stun. Double stun, in fact. They're going to be happy with the tier 3 as the Aegis has been claimed by Roshan himself. So things might just a bit here. And again, this is dead even, Jenkins. Dead even.
Dire's bottom tower won't last long.
This is true, but the momentum seems to be swinging in the favor
Yes.
of T1, and it's mostly because their team fighting is just a lot stronger at this point. Invoker hasn't really been a huge factor in these fights. Cataclysm, there's not enough setup stun for it. There's Lion and Wraith King, but the Wraith King's been getting focused and dying, and I mean, Lion can't get in there. He's Lion. The guy's sitting on 1,000 HP.
Yeah, I mean, the more I think about it, even the Oracle, you just talked about it briefly, but what is the point of this Oracle? Is he supposed to be dispelling the Fatal Bonds? Is that the biggest thing? Because the False Promise, like we said, is just, they don't have like a crazy, it's not like a terribly, like some crazy hero that just synergizes really well.
I think it's mostly to,
False Promise.
you can save 2 heroes from the Chronosphere. You can use Fate's Edict on either the...
Okay, yeah, if you're outside the Chronosphere for the save.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can, it's like you protect from the Leshrac, you can disarm the Void, but at this point, where the Lesh is not the primary concern remotely, to be honest, it's Nyx and Void that feel like the real issues. Then the Oracle feels kind of useless.
Okay, I keep seeing these items. Oh, he is going Scott. He's still on Nightfall.
And Nightfall has a very weird, it's like the
queuing system.
Costco inventory.
He just goes, he queues them up literally one individual item at a time.
Taking little samplers.
That is so weird. There's got to be a reason for it. As we have a dust here, but it's not going to amount to anything. 2 smoked heroes from T1 side. This Cuckoo in the trees. See the Forge Spirits here, scouting him out a bit. And yeah, Nightfall now has his Scotty officially. as they do, of course.
Radiant's top tower
Yeah, refresher
is
on
under attack.
GPK, so double Cataclysm available. But like you said, not the most set up to actually enable it.
It's not reliable is the issue. If they can get Lion on top of somebody where he doesn't just immediately die, then it's going to be a lot of damage.
Off the Nightfall, Zephyr not going to be able to hit the Impale there, but you can see the army of spiders are here. And the mana burn, again, not going to really matter too much in terms of the second life for Nightfall because of the shard, but still pretty annoying that he can't stun anybody.
Zephyr is taking literally 0 damage.
It's shield versus percentage damage, which wins in the end. Cataclysm combo, it's a double! It's not even that much damage though now. 23 Savage gets off the Chronosphere. Gonna focus on the Invoker, but there's the false promise that you talked about. Trying to do the damage through that with the Impale to follow. Burrowed Nyx is available still, getting those burrows or the stuns constantly as we have the Chakram. Nice Impale again from Zephyr, saving his team, but it looks like Elect will finally be bursted down. Chaotic Offering was never used. They actually took out the Warlock immediately as Save getting right click now with Cuckoo's ult as well, and Kingslayer in the trees. Double kill for Cuckoo. T1.
Oh, there's a gem too.
They're fishing for
That's a big deal because that's exactly how they're going got the Nyx in these fights. So getting that, killing the Invoker makes this entirely worth it. And this is a fight on the side of BP as well. So you win that fight, you potentially get the tower. Although the creep wave is unfortunately
the buyback
pushed out.
Cost the buyback on the save, and I mean they grew their lead from 2 to 6K there in just this last few minutes.
Yeah,
so
mostly the
T1 is in control right now. Oh man, the Vendetta with 23 Savage applying some right clicks. Time dilation to the plant. A bash again. DM. Never changed the safety, but Cuckoo's here as well. So it looks like it's going to be the death of him. He has the flamethrower. Annoying to deal with, but not annoying enough. Does have buyback though, as T1 have taken firm control of this game, with Roshan coming online very shortly.
Getting to the point where
21 Savage.
I'm surprised I haven't done that one before. 23 is the real issue. Everybody else, other than Zephyr, who is providing all the lockdown, they're not really needed for damage. It's just 23.
Yeah.
Even without using the Warlock ulti, they win the fight.
And these Cataclysms haven't really amounted to much for VP. And they actually just opened it up with it too. It wasn't like in the middle of a fight where it's already chaotic. It was literally opening. As Roshan, number 2, T1 is going for it. VP not in the vicinity. And we can see, of course, there is a shard available.
I'm fairly certain, by the way, that the reason Cataclysm didn't do that much damage in the previous fight is because of all of the spiders. I think the spiders are soaking up a ton of damage.
Okay.
Cuckoo didn't have a web in the position. It was kind of awkwardly placed with the spider who was splitting up. And I don't know if he was doing that intentionally. If he was, that's some god tier, like big brain stuff.
That is actually crazy. It's just soaking up the damage. Wow. Well, Aegis now onto the Lesh. We have Cheese on Mr. 23 Savage himself, and was a shard on 23 Savage as well. Yeah, so he gets the reverse time walk. And of course, just by default, his time walk will have 400 extra range, which is always nice.
Classic. Of course, he's going to be playing for the next Roshan, where he can pick up an Ag in himself.
Oh, yeah.
As a greedy carry player, he will never be caught dead buying that himself.
Yeah, of course. Oh, GPK actually pops his refresher. We see the Cataclysm come online. The Meteor is there with a Spike Carapace, and yikers.
It's doing no damage because it's always surrounded by creeps or spiders.
Yeah. Was that a... Did he Cataclysm and then Refresher Cataclysm, or did he just Refresher Cataclysm?
He Cataclysm, then Refresher Cataclysm. That was a double. It's just, once again, it's getting soaked up by creeps. It does significantly less damage when these creeps get hit by it as well.
Well, who knew that?
That's so strange.
That is such a random thing. As T1 very close to winning this tournament in this best of 5, game 5. They get that mid-racks. Invoker's dead for 45 seconds, so this, I would think, is minimum 2 racks. Of course, the tier 2 still up top in that bottom lane. 3 heroes! Save takes a tumble, big Impale, only connecting out 1, maybe not so big after all, but there's the save onto DM. He can go back to base, but now the pressure is onto the Wraith King. That is the first life to come, but 23 Savage wants to go for the support, doesn't get into the fountain though. Completely surrounding Wraith King. 3 dead, T1 look to be winning this in great fashion. Fortification is popped. They want to play it safe considering they don't know the buyback situation potentially here. You can see T1 finally not smiling. You know, I love it. They're taking this very seriously, Jenkins.
Yeah, for once.
And they're going to take this center racks on the top, and now they go for throne potentially because that tier 2 is not available for the taking. Zephyr just setting up his base here inside the VP base. He's going to spike Carapace, which stuns through that EMP. Just going to focus on the buildings, of course, with this dive all eating 60 seconds of no Wraith King. He's just going to walk right in. Oh, he gets Hex, though. Has to be careful. Cataclysm the fall with a nice Yule Scepter. Use that Yule Scepter, actually. What? That's a Wind Waker. Are you serious? I was going to say, we finally get to see it. This tier 4 tower looked to be falling. You see the time walk reverse from 23 Savage, and it looks like T1 are going to be taking this game before Wraith King can even respawn. T1 looking so good. Another Cataclysm, but that one actually did decent damage. But it is over. T1 are your ESL 1 Summer 2021 Grand Champions. Jenkins.
Yeah, they're a few $100,000 richer now.
Yeah.
And good lord, good Gaben, did they deserve it?
Good Gaben. Yeah, they get 175,000 just for them, but they looked so freaking